All right, everybody. This is Mark again. Thanks for stopping by. Today, I got some great information. We're going to be talking about employment solutions for ex-felons. If you're getting out of prison, or if you have recently gotten out of prison and you are struggling to find a job, then this is the video for you. I want you to stay all the way through the end because I'm going to go over a lot of great information like felon-friendly states, unfelon-friendly states, industries that hire felons, where you could probably start a job at this week, as well as a few legislative things like ban the box, fair chance initiatives, that kind of thing. So without further ado, let's get to it. My name's Mark, and I am a volunteer with the Florida Department of Corrections. I'm a volunteer chaplain. I go in once a week and I teach a class called Survival Series, and it's to help the guys in there live a better life while they're in there and have a more successful transition once they get out. This would be class 4. The first class was an introduction, but the first lesson was actually the second class. First lesson was getting your mind right, power of positive thinking. Second class was raising your personal standards, about choosing to be men and women of integrity. The third class was on how to improve your relationship and how to be a better partner in a relationship, what to look for in a partner. And now we are getting into employment. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is felon-friendly states and unfelon-friendly states. There are several legislative initiatives that are active in various states across the nation. One's called Ban the Box. Ban the Box is a legislative initiative that makes it illegal for employers to ask the felony question. Have you ever been convicted of a felony on an application? A lot of guys get out of prison and they're trying to get a job, and they fill out an application and they got this question: have you ever been convicted of a felony? They check yes, and they feel like a lot of times that they don't even get past the application stage because they checked yes. Some people, the answer is yes, but they'll check no, and then they'll end up getting fired as a result of that. So I don't recommend that. And a lot of times with this question, if you check yes, it asks for a description of circumstances, an explanation. And if you have some violent charge or something like that, now all of a sudden on the application, you got to put yes, you got to put a murder charge, you got to put armed robbery, carjacking, something like that. And those things just usually add up to the person not being hired. So there are several states across the nation who have enacted ban the box laws, which basically states you can't ask that question on an application. You can ask it after an offer of employment has been extended and you're going to do a background check or something like that. There's a few other states that have what they call a salary cap. And that is, they don't do background checks if your salary is going to be below a certain amount. In my opinion, a lot of those salary caps are too low. I like the idea of the salary cap, but a lot of states have a $20,000 cap. So if your job is going to pay less than $20,000 a year, they don't ask the question. But if you're going to pay more than $20,000 a year, then they do ask the question, and they do get provided your background check information. Well, anybody getting out of prison, and probably anybody anywhere, who's going to need more than 20 grand a year. But there are some states that have higher caps than that. I think Colorado has a $75,000 cap. You're going to do better in a state that has a ban the box initiative. Another real important initiative is the Fair Chance Act. Fair chance policies, fair chance initiative, whatever you want to call it. But it's basically where a company, or actually a lot of city governments, county jobs, stuff like that, have a fair chance initiative where they purposely do not discriminate against people with felonies on the record. Provide a second chance or a fair chance to people applying who have had trouble in their past. The landscape for people getting out of prison, the employment landscape, is quite difficult. However, there are a few industries that are felon friendly and that will hire you no matter what. And one of those is construction. If you have a skill or a trade, you can get on with almost any construction company hiring. Matter of fact, I personally know several contractors who have been to prison themselves, and their whole crew has been to prison. It's kind of a running joke that they won't hire you unless you've been to prison. I would suggest you learn whatever trades the Department of Corrections is willing to teach you. Because if you get out with HVAC trades, if you get out with a carpentry trade, if you get out and you can lay brick, you get out and can pour concrete, can do electrical work, anything like that, that's going to be a fast track to employment. Probably the second biggest hirer of felons is restaurants. You can get on at almost any restaurant, whether it's back of the house, cooking, washing dishes, whatever, or the front of the house as a server, busser, bartender, that kind of thing. A lot of times they don't do background checks at all, unless you're going to be a manager. And if you're going to be a manager, they do a background check, but a lot of times they are fair chance employers too. Hospitality, working in hotels, resorts, that kind of thing, doing room service, maintenance, groundskeepers, whatever. A lot of those jobs will not do background checks, and they are open to hiring people with a felony on their record. Another example is landscaping and mowing lawns, trimming trees, that kind of thing. A lot of those companies will hire you even if you have a felony on your background. Trucking and delivery, you can drive trucks. I know one guy who's got a pretty bad record, and he drives dump trucks. It's about the only thing that he can do. But long haul truckers, dump truck drivers, local delivery, whatever, that's usually a pretty good industry that is open to hiring felons. A few places that you can go to look for a job or to get help looking for a job after you get out would be a job search website, like Indeed.com, Monster.com, that kind of thing. When I'm looking for a job, which I'm currently not, but when I am, I keep an updated resume on Indeed, and I will usually get up in the morning, I'll make me a cup of coffee, I'll sit down at the computer, and I'll fill out 10 applications each day before I even start my day. Before I even finish my cup of coffee, I've already put in 10 applications. If you do that every day for a week, that's 70 applications you would have dropped in a week. Out of 70 applications, you're bound to get 2 or 3 interview opportunities. And if you're getting 2 or 3 interview opportunities a week, after a month, man, you're guaranteed to have a job somewhere doing something. Another idea would be networking, family and friends, asking them, hey, do you know anybody that's hiring? I'm looking for a job. Maybe going to job fairs, that kind of thing. You can go to a temporary employment agency. You can go to the labor pool. You can go out there, especially if you drive. You're more likely to go out at the labor pool if you drive than if you don't. But it's always an option to get quick work today and get paid cash. Obviously, the best thing to do is if you're in and you can get to work release. I understand not everybody is eligible for that, but if you can get to work release and get a job in work release and maintain your employment after your release, well, obviously that's the best route to go. But that option isn't available to everybody. But the thing that you want to be is you want to be honest and transparent about your situation. You don't want to lie. Ask for an explanation. I just say we'll discuss an interview. That way you don't have to put no bad words on your application, and you get an opportunity to speak and introduce yourself and present yourself in the best light. Now let's talk about a few things that are going to be interesting. So here's a list of the most felon-friendly states. If you can get out and you can move to one of these states, you're going to have a much easier time getting a job. The number one most felon-friendly state, anybody care to guess or leave a comment below who do you think the #1 most felon-friendly state is? California. California has implemented various reforms aimed at reducing barriers to employment for individuals with criminal records. These include a ban-the-box legislation, which prohibits employers from asking about criminal history on job applications, and various programs aimed at supporting re-entry into the workforce. The second most felon-friendly state is Minnesota. The third is New Mexico. Fourth is Illinois. Fifth is New York. Sixth is Colorado. 7 is Hawaii. 8 is Oregon. 9 is Washington. 10 is Rhode Island. Those are your top 10 felon-friendly states. And on the other side of the coin, your top 10 states that are the least friendly to felons or people getting out of prison. The #1, anyone care to guess? Alabama. Alabama has strict laws regarding felon employment, with limited opportunities for those with criminal records. The second most unfriendly state to felons is Mississippi. Third is South Carolina. Fourth is Georgia. Fifth is Louisiana. Sixth is Tennessee. The 7th is Arkansas. 8 is North Carolina. 9 is Florida. 10 is Texas. So if you're getting out of prison and you have an opportunity to live anywhere besides those 10 states, I'd highly recommend it. So when you're getting out, I believe the job search starts before you ever get out. Preparation for your job search or career choice begins before your release date. Things to do while you're still inside. Prepare for work release ASAP if you're eligible. Obey all the rules, avoid trouble within the DOC at all costs. Take every class and get every certificate you can. Make yourself look as good as you can. Begin to request letters of reference from volunteers, the chaplain, program coordinators, security, people of influence that you correspond with. Write out a statement of incarceration. So you're going to be asked about your felony. You're going to be asked about the time that you spent in prison, that kind of thing. I would just suggest you prepare a written statement. Go over it several times, polish it, get it just the way that you want it. And that way, when you go to a job interview and somebody asks you about it, you don't have to get into an unscripted conversation that could go in any direction or the other. You can just hand them your written statement. Allow them to read it. Let the statement speak for you. That would be my suggestion. Research options. Write down a career plan with short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals. Write down a plan with a minimum of 3 streams of income. Now, I don't want you to worry about all 3 streams of income at once. Worry about one. And then work on getting you a second stream. And then work on getting you a third stream. One of those streams of income should be passive, at least, if not 2, but certainly 1. Work release. It's easier to get a job on work release than it is trying to start over without one after you get out. The reason for that is there are a lot of businesses that hire people from their local work release center. The reason they do that is they know that with that employee is going to show up every day. That employee is going to show up every day with a great attitude. They're not going to come to work drunk or high or anything like that. They're not going to stay out all night partying. They're not going to get their paycheck and not come back. A lot of issues that employers have to deal with free world people from time to time, a lot of that is avoided or eliminated if they hire somebody from work release. And they can usually hire from somebody from work release at a lower pay scale. But if you can just get on and get the opportunity, after you get out, you can negotiate a pay raise or whatever, but you're already working. They already see your attitude, and they already realize that you are a good employee to have, and it's much easier to get a job if you have a job than it is to get a job without a job. I would say have you 4 or 5 letters of reference, of character reference, that you can attach to your resume. I worked at a restaurant once, and that restaurant was real big about getting Google reviews. They wanted us to get Google reviews every time we worked the floor. They wanted us to ask every customer. Well, I was good at what I did. I had a good personality with people, and it was pretty easy for me to get them to leave a Google review. What I would do is I'd go home at night, and if I got 10, 12, 15 Google reviews in my shift, I would print them. And eventually I had a stack of 80, 90, or 100 Google reviews. I would take those and I would staple them to my resume, along with letters of character reference, letters of recommendation. When you turn in a resume with 100 Google reviews and 3 or 4 letters of character reference, and if you got a few certificates or something like that that is relevant to that field, man, that's awful hard to overlook. When you're getting out of prison, you have to make yourself stand out from the competition who's also applying for that job. You can do that by having a very nice resume as far as aesthetics go. Mine's in full color, and it's set up and formatted real nice so that when you look at it, you feel like you are looking at a resume that stands out from all the others. You have a much better chance of getting an interview, and you can show where you've got the social proof with all Google reviews, you got letters of reference. It just puts you in a better situation than what you would have been otherwise. So work on getting you some letters of reference. Work on getting all copies of all your certificates. And if you can get reviews anywhere, any place, try and get them. Add all that to your resume. And that's my thoughts on the subject. I brought that in a classroom setting. I talked about it for over 2 hours, so I really drilled down and expounded on some of these topics. But this is a YouTube video, and I'm not going to go on for 2 hours. I'm going to give it to you short and sweet. I appreciate y'all watching. If y'all like the video, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it. And the next video I'm bringing is about credit. Now, when I brought the class on credit, that was everybody's most favorite class. So y'all definitely be sure and hit the notification bell. That way you do not miss my next video. It's going to be great. Thanks for watching. Up your averages.